Agony Masters. I recently have some problems with my college roommates. As I'm doing part-time tutoring on weekends, I have to get up early on Saturday and Sunday mornings, around 6:30 a.m. I swear I turn off the alarm clock the instant it rings and keep as quiet as possible. But still, my roommates get mad at me for disturbing their sleep. I expected the life in the dorm would be full of fun, but the reality is tough. Trifles like whether to share snacks or whose turn to do the cleanup could sour our relationships. I really want to get on well with my roommates for the years to come on campus. What should I do? A lost handmaid.
Living in the dorm can be a great experience, for students can build friendships with like-minded people. Is it not a delight, after all, to have friends coming from afar? But to create a harmonious environment, you all need to behave yourselves. You'd better treat your roommates with respect and put yourselves in their shoes. In this case, show your kindness to your roommates and express your willingness to solve the problem. It is best for you all to talk about it openly and peacefully and hammer out a solution that everyone could accept. It is a symbol of growing up, where you learn to view the world from others' perspectives. Remember, do not do to others what you wouldn't like them to do to you.
Does it really matter if someone's desk is a mess or the computer is left on all night? If it bothers you a lot, then bring it up. Be frank and let others know your mind instead of burying your feelings. But if it's not a big deal, just let it go. As for your relationships with the roommates, try not to ask for too much. Follow your heart and do whatever you want to do. Leave the rest to take care of themselves. If it turns out you won't become friends, accept it. It only brings small troubles if you are too obsessed with such trivial matters. Think about the big world outside. Relax and take it easy.
Are you kidding me? In a shared room, it is taken for granted that all members should keep it tidy and organized and avoid causing troubles to others. Every member is supposed to share equal rights and duties. The adoption of impartial approach can help keep order and enact a norm fair to everyone. Another tip to bear in mind is to show your roommates the same tolerance and concern you show to your family members. If all of you reach out to one another with care and love, there would be no clashes. This all-embracing love can prevent any hatred and hostilities, and you would surely get along well.
Cut the nonsense.
Wow!
Just establish rules and regulations that everyone agrees to observe. They can be written down and posted on the wall. All of you can list the items to share or for private use. Plan the cleanup schedule, agree on a time to get up and go to sleep, or decide on how to share the utility bills if you're living off campus. Don't forget to include the punishments for breaking the rules. For instance, there could be a rule saying the alarm clock is only allowed to ring off 7 a.m. on weekends. If anyone crosses the line, he or she has to clean up the room for a whole week. In your case, either you make a compromise or adjust your work time, or take the consequence and accept the punishment. Isn't that simple and straight?
Long time no see. You are still so harsh and strict. Haven't you learned to control your temper and allow some leeway for these rookies? They are just new to college.
what you said sounds fine, but it is just empty talk. If they could show kindness and respect to each other, they wouldn't have had such conflicts in the first place.
That's why we need to guide them to realize that all people deserve love and care from each other. Once they learn to take their friends as family members, they would become more understanding and tolerant.
You're too young, too naive. Heavy-handed measures may appear to be pitiless at first sight, but they're most effective to seek the impartiality you called for.
Are you still here with us? What do you have to say?
I don't see any point arguing here. There's no more to say. Just let it be. By the way, I will go get a drink. Anyone would like to come?
Thank you, masters. I know what I should do now. Sorry to bother.
Do you have a clear idea now what Han Mei should do? It seems the four sages really want to help, but their standards vary a lot in terms of building a smart interpersonal relationship. As the leading figures of the most influential schools of thought in ancient China, namely Confucianism, Taoism, Moism, and legalism, what they say carries weight. Apart from their perceptions of human relations, these philosophers have their own teachings about human nature, the individual and the society, as well as heaven and man, which constitute the main concepts of Chinese philosophy. Next, we will take a look at each school of thought respectively, so as to figure out why they would come up with the advice above. Now, let's wish Han Mei good luck. Confucianism is a school of thought represented by Confucius and Mencius, and is regarded as the cornerstone of traditional Chinese culture. It centers on the ideas of Ren, the ethical relations of people, and the golden mean. With regard to individual virtues, Confucianism emphasizes human-heartedness, the equivalent to that in Chinese, 人. This core concept of Confucius incorporates benevolence, generosity, altruism, and kindness, all the virtues that contribute to social harmony and peace. Other virtues, such as righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and loyalty, can all be considered the extensions of Ren. These virtues help people fulfill their responsibilities and duties in society. In terms of the ethical relations of people, Confucianism attaches great importance to family and social order. It is vital for people to understand their positions on the social ladder and live up to the role expectations before establishing the good government and social order. The golden mean is part of Confucian humanism. It plays an important role in shaping the Chinese national characters. The attitude of living a life of the golden mean can be found in every Chinese, from ancient scholars to common moderners. People may mistake this idea as making compromise or taking a neutral stance. Rather, it praises highly a moderate and balanced way of life. refraining from any extremes of actions, thoughts, or emotions. The values of harmony, modesty, stability, and endurance are deeply rooted in the conceptualization of the Ming. Taoism is a school based on the thoughts of Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi. The term Tao means the way of life, or the law of nature that everyone needs to follow. The central concept of Taoism is non-action, which is simply to hand off and let things take their own courses. Taoists are sometimes criticized for being passive or even pessimistic in life. But in actuality, they hold such a belief out of their respect for life. They want to seek harmony with the universe rather than force their way against the nature. They don't want to be caught up by outside matters. Taoism generally stands for freedom, primitive simplicity, the return to nature, the retirement from social life, and even the search for immortality. In a word, Taoists deem that a person could live a simple, worry-free life through self-cultivation. Moism. Moism originates in a series of philosophical debates and argumentation initiated by Mozi and his followers. Moists interpret certain Confucian ideas in a different way. To them, Ren signifies a universal love. From their points of view, to sustain social order and exemplify the key virtue of Ren, people must impartially care for each other, having as much concern for others' lives, families, and communities as for their own. Furthermore, universal love goes against any actions that might hurt others, like military aggression, for it does harm to others in pursuit of selfish benefits. And this may ultimately undermine the society as a whole. Thus comes their non-offensive approach. If all the people in the world love one another, there would be no hatred, calamities, or hostilities. Sounds a little bit utopian, right? Mozi and his followers speak for the interests of the common people, as deep inside, they agree that all human beings are equal. Those who differentiate people from each other based on status, wealth, and position are only making man-made distinctions. However, this kind of chivalrous spirit and the idealistic social model might seem out of tune with a time when different states vie for supremacy. Other key concepts of Moism include the advocacy of frugality, the condemnation of waste and luxury, as well as the opposition to fatalism. Legalism is the last major school of the intellectual current in pre-Qing period. Han Feizi is considered the greatest ideologist of legalism. His philosophical system is built on the premise that human nature is originally evil. In believing that everyone in the society would only pursue his or her own interests, legalists don't buy trust, respect, and leniency. With that in mind, Han Feizi proposed to govern by law. That is, strict regulations and laws should be put into practice and unconditionally enforced, so that people's behavior be tightly controlled. Taoism and legalism are two opposite sorts of philosophy. Taoists believe people are originally innocent, while legalists view they are naturally selfish. Taoists advocate absolute individual freedom, while legalists maintain absolute social control. Besides, to Confucianists, people should be governed by morality and humanity. Yet, in the eyes of legalists, this cannot be the case. To safeguard social order and make people behave properly, they insist heavy punishments for anyone who violates the law, whether it be the nobles or the common people. Due to the different ideologies for government, in Chinese history, Confucianists think legalists are harsh and ruthless, while legalists believe Confucianists are bookish and impractical. Another major difference between legalism and other schools lies in the view of change. Since the time of Confucius, most schools of thinkers seek ways to deal with the changes in the times. However, they tend to turn to the past experience as a sufficient guide for the present. Legalist thinkers are more willing to depart from the conventional ways. Instead, they stand at the forefront of social-political innovation. They are the most ready to use new measures to solve new problems. Han Feizi illustrated the importance of changing with the times in a fable that every one of us knows. Stand by a tree stump, waiting for a hare. This concept is revolutionary compared with the prevailing theories of the other schools of ancient China. Confucianism, Taoism, Maoism, and legalism are the four most influential intellectual currents thriving in China during the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period. At the time, there are also many other rival schools of thought. Together, they create an age of 100 schools, when scholars write, lecture, and debate vigorously, garnering a liberal and prosperous academic environment. Their systematic, reflective thoughts form the content of Chinese philosophy and the spirits of Chinese culture. Oops, there seems another one seeking help from the agony masters. If you were any one of the sages you like, what would be your suggestions? I'm all ears